Go Loud presents the Talking Bollox podcast.
What you waiting for? Put your back in it. Just a little more. Throw your weight in it now. Fill your body again. Walk it hard and long. When you finish that,
The hip knocker.
go down, go down, go down. Come up, come up, come up, come up, go down.
Yo, here we are, episode 48 of the Talking Bollox podcast. It's me, CLB.
It's me, Teddy Flower.
And today we're joined by Joe. Come on, you have to fucking
Now you're used to this.
I just let him making you sweat there. Joe McGucken.
Joe McGucken part 2. So the reason why we got Joe back in is because the last time we were under a lot of time constraints and it was very rushed and feel like we're only getting into it and then we had to stop. So
It's like deja vu, really, isn't it?
basically,
All
yeah.
over again. But you're fresh at today. You've Puma runners on
I think so,
today.
yeah. I went for a short. I went for a short today,
A
yeah.
fresh bucket of dirt as well.
You could have went for an iron now, but sure, look.
I know. I was
Looks like we're
rushing
doing with
myself.
a hammer.
I didn't. I shouldn't have rushed because fucking sitting here for
You're
an
in
hour
some
waiting for
nick,
you,
though.
Calvin.
Yeah.
In some Nick.
William, mate, don't
Are you in the
play
gym?
Yeah, I'm in the gym, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, does it look like it?
Yeah,
It's just
bro.
a really tight short, man. I went once, like...
that. Come out, did
Yeah,
you
we're having it.
get your haircut?
I did get my hair cut. What do you think? There's a place out in Coolock.
Don't be plugging places here without
I don't even know the name of the place. I don't even know the name of the place, but it's in... Yeah.
How much
it's,
you pay for that?
€15.
Oh, you come up from the fiver cuts.
Yeah, I mean, they probably want the €5 tip, but I just went, yeah, €15. Tap
Did
the
you only
card.
give them 15?
Yeah.
You're a scruff, I swear to God, I don't trust people like you.
Tips are a thing with me. All right, if you want €20, just charge €20. Like, why? I'm not mad about
Because
the whole
it's
tipping
just
the
like-
industry,
especially
it's not
with that-
America. You don't need to tip somebody.
I
properly
see
pay
where
it,
it comes
like.
from. That like you should earn a tip. Like if someone hands you a coffee and expects more money, you'd be like, "What did you do, mate? You done your job."
Yeah, give me more. Give me something. That
Whereas if someone goes above and beyond, actually, you know what happened to me before? My card got declined, like blocked. Right? Listen to this one. I went and got a coffee, the same place I get a coffee every day. Tapped my card, and the man goes, "That didn't go through." And I was like, "What?" So then I put it in the machine, put the pin and all in. And he goes, "That's still not going through." And I was like, "Oh, big queue of people behind me." And the man goes, "Ah, don't worry, mate. Like, have it." And I was like, "I have money." And I was like, "What's going on?" Rang AIB. They were like, "Yeah, suspicious activity on your card." Guess what the website was?
What?
Nike. Suspicious activity off a website I probably use once a week.
He's never off it.
Jeez.
So I went and I took they unblocked it and I took a score out and I gave your man the full score and he's like, "The coffee's a rep or 3 something." I said, "Mate, hold on to it." I said, "You deserved it because you done something good for me. Hold on to it." You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
legal. Love that. Now, that's a zinger. Do you tip the barber or do you not tip the barber?
Depends how much the haircut is.
No, they
If
should,
your barber charges €27 for a haircut, you have to pay him 30.
You give him 30
fuck
quid.
that. No, 27 is way too expensive for the
But
haircut.
it's only €3 extra then.
Doesn't matter. Then charge €30.
No,
if you want
get the
€30,
good
charge
service,
€30.
bro. Don't be giving her all that.
No
Look at that for
way.
the cut.
Good service, me arse. If it's
Joe,
good service.
30 quid for that cut, tell the truth.
Was that 30 quid? No, that was free. You're getting free haircuts now off the 400, lads.
You're not even
The Joe
saying that.
Bennett is Malahide.
But come here,
He's
you missed
Malahide.
Bro, you get the haircut, you get the
40
beard done, right? My beard, I don't have a beard, but you get the beard
The
done,
reason we
right?
don't have a beard, you don't have a beard is because you get it done every 4 days.
I know,
You
I
don't get a
know.
chance to grow.
Bro, you got a hot towel, you get the facial yolks and all, the whole lot. 400 in cabinet, check it out. But yeah, boys, you get the whole works.
Yeah.
So, do you tip the barber or do you not tip the barber, right? That's a zinger. Right?
My barber better not be looking for more money at me.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's not gonna be a popular one, but no, don't tip the barber. No, and it's the same with delivery drivers. I made a sketch about this, but like when the delivery driver kind of
That
sits
was a good
around
one.
waiting,
That was a good
Plug
one.
this sketch.
And he's like,
he's like waiting around. Like there's a delivery fee. This is the fee. This is for you. You're delivering the food. This is the fee for that, and you want me to give you more money on top of the fee for doing what the delivery fee is supposed to pay for? No,
No,
come
you're
on.
a dope boy. I don't give a bollock. I don't give a... I'm not standing by that. You tip the boys, bro.
No, fuck that,
You
fuck
have to
that.
bring in your grub to your door.
You don't tip the bus driver. You tip a taxi driver, and then you don't tip a bus driver. Double standards, man.
valid points.
Double
He's
standards.
making a good argument
No,
there.
that's decent, yeah.
You should give him a tip if he comes to the door. Do you ever see the ones who are like, "Oh yeah, I'm outside,"
No,
and you're
them
like, you have
ones
to
don't.
run out, and
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
mate."
When you used to live in the flats, these
You have to go
sometimes wouldn't come up.
downstairs.
Yeah, and if the ones that wouldn't come up, not a chance. If
Meet
you
me
look
at the end of the flats.
yeah.
Look, you're even getting paid for the
Yeah.
field at all.
I
Yeah.
know, yeah. Oh man, fucking. I'm ordering a delivery and you're not even fucking delivering it. I have to get out of it. I have to get dressed.
You're better off getting a collection.
You don't have the shoes on. You have to get the shoes on. You have to go out the door.
And you're
down
not
the
even putting
tower.
shoes on, you're putting reserves at the door, you're running down your man's high heels and all. You're down now.
I'll be down now. Hang on. Wait. Yeah, nightmare.
Running
Yeah,
down
I
like
know.
a
Then
cross
what-
dresser.
Then you want a tip?
Yeah.
But if they're knocking on the door, you look after the boys. I don't give a bollocks.
No, you look after them by paying the fucking delivery fee.
What
That's
was last
looking
week's
at them.
singers, the results?
Gavin's like, right, I'm over this.
Yeah. This is what happened last time.
Yeah, I know.
Right,
We got excited, don't we, Joe? Ireland or Ireland? I asked you earlier, what you call it?
Ireland, 100%.
No, Ireland is
Ireland.
one
What the
of
fuck,
yeah.
Ireland?
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, Joe.
So, Ireland, fucking joking anyways, 90%, but how's there still 10% of people saying Ireland?
Ireland.
Yeah, what does Ireland mean,
That
bro?
10% is Conor McGregor, isn't it?
Does he say Ireland?
Yeah, Ireland.
Does he?
Yeah,
I did at the
I'm
start.
representing Ireland.
Yeah, that's
you
because
can't do it, Conor McGregor.
he had to enunciate his words when he was
Yeah.
trying to break America. But now he doesn't give a bollocks. You ever
It's
see
the
the
same
story?
way.
Yeah, to see his voice down to
doesn't give a
Twitter.
bollocks
You up
now.
the strap on him, yeah.
Throw that back paw, yeah.
But yeah, Ireland 90, Ireland 10, yeah. And a pearler or a topper.
Never even heard of a topper.
Neither did I. See, that's the culture. Dylan Moore started on me as well. Me
Yeah.
nerves, oh shit.
I looked over there like I expected to see him. I was like, wait.
Yeah,
What's
one more
happening,
pass
right?
him. One more
You
pass
don't
him.
want him to pop out of the
Or a sly
woodwork.
hook off him.
Oh, pull a big right hand up out of Satan's pocket.
Congratulations
Fuck
to
that.
him on the W though as well.
Yeah,
Fair play to
congrats,
Dylan.
Dylan Moore. Legend of a man. But, see, you converted someone because you converted me last
Yeah.
week
I made a good strong argument there. About
with the topper. So, I said to Calvin, a topper, I was like, he said, oh no, why would you call it a topper if it's the bottom of the pencil? And I said, no, we'd call the rubber part the bottom. And then you said,
I can't remember what I said.
you said, how could you call the rubber part the bottom if when you're writing, it's at the top?
You know what I mean?
Makes sense?
What's the bottom of the pencil?
It's a valid point.
The
And then
pointy
you have
part is the bottom of the pencil.
You have pencil toppers. Remember, you used to get pencil toppers in a
Yeah.
packet of, and you put that on the rubber ends.
No,
Yeah.
what's a pencil topper?
It's like
You get it in a fucking cornflakes box or in a.
You know, I'd be bleeding,
anymore,
I don't know, a fucking a cartoon character or something you stick on the top of the pencil. Where the rubber goes, basically, yeah, so it'd be like, I don't know, Crash Bandicoot or something. Don't know
Yes,
why
yeah.
I thought that. And
That's how old you are. That's such an old thing
bro, I
to say.
downloaded it the other day and I was playing it and I was showing Harper, I was like, I used to play this when I was your age.
Yeah.
And then
And she's like, all right, that.
yeah, and then she came in, she's like, are you playing Crash Barbecue? But yeah, so what was the results?
Pearl on 91%, 9% topper.
And a lot of people went back saying sharpener.
So that's my zinger for this week because I haven't got a zinger.
Sorry.
Is it a pearler because that got the highest percentage or a sharpener because a lot of people
Yeah,
said a
but that's very
sharpener?
American, isn't it?
Yeah, sharpener, yeah, I think so as well.
Did you do rubber and eraser?
That's even more American.
Is
Oh.
it eraser? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
totally.
that's worse than the nappies diaper one that
No,
I bought last time. Yeah, okay,
no,
we won't go
None
there.
was
Okay,
worry.
okay.
No, none was worse, don't worry. 99.1% or something, wasn't it?
We even said that the Roddy
Was it
was
99%?
disgusted, he was.
I was on the
It
back foot.
You made a
I
show
was
of us in
looking
front
on
of
the
Roddy
back
Doyle.
foot,
In
lads.
front of Roddy Doyle, you made a show of
I didn't
us.
know if I'd have known he would have been the next guest. I would have came up with some better zingers, lads. I
Do you
do
know what I mean?
apologise.
Yeah, no,
I do
so-
apologise. I'll take the blame for
So
that.
Pearl on 91, top on 9, and then my zinger for this
Pearler,
week.
sharpener.
Pearler, sharpener.
Robot eraser, you're going to go with.
I think I have a. Is it one zinger that I'm supposed to just
No,
have
you
out of
can,
here?
you can bang out as many as you
I'll
want.
get the notes out here. I'll get the notes
Get
out.
this camera on me, boys.
Which one? That one? Yeah, sound.
yeah.
Because
I'll pick her up.
Johnny, give me the middle one there, yeah? Kobe. Terrible shot.
I want a paper now. This was the last. I have a few written down, but this was the last one because I was looking at Christmas decorations outside, and it reminded me of is it Chris Kringle or Chris Kindle?
Is it not Chris Crindle?
Oh, a mixture of both.
Did we not do
The
this?
triple
You
zinger.
got the bottle in the night, fam. You don't even know what that means.
We done this last year. I'm nearly sure we did.
No, because
You know what Chris Crindle is?
No,
48 episodes is not even a year.
No, we don't, as in Christmas last year.
but we missed a couple through fucking.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
right,
but we
unforeseen
still done
circumstances.
Christmas. Remember we did? I'm nearly sure we did this. Where you put bleeding names in the hat, everyone gets a name, you have to get that person present.
Ah, I know it. I know it.
Secret Santa, people call it.
Chris-
That's American. That's
Yeah,
American.
I don't know what that's called. I never.
Chris Crindle.
Yeah, I never
thought
did
it was called.
I don't know, boys.
I'd have said Chris Kringle, but some people would say Chris
Kringle?
Kindle
I'm
because he's
confused.
coined or something.
I think that's a muck one.
That's
anyway.
probably a crap one anyway. But you remember to like
John
me,
McGucken. McGucken.
me and Darren on Air podcast. we were talking about the Premier League bookers. Remember the Premier League books with the stickers that you put into them?
And you get a glittery one.
You get a glittery one. Are they called glitzies or shinies?
Glitzies.
I'd say glitzy, yeah.
I nearly said it there and I had to pull it back.
Yeah, because you knew what was
glittery
coming.
one.
A glittery one, yeah.
No, it's a glittery.
Yeah.
Glitzy, yeah.
So I think that might be a
That's
good
a
one because
glitzy. Yeah, no, that is a good one.
I know
I
he
don't
said
know many people. What was the other one? Shiny?
Shinies.
glitzy or a shiny, yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's
it's
a
a
glitzy.
glitzy. It's a glitzy.
Oh,
But
actually-
I think that's decent.
I actually
Do you
have
like
a
that,
singer,
yeah? I'm
as
giving
well.
you that.
So we have about 17 singers. And this what happened the last time.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. I won't go through any of the rest of them.
Hold them for your own podcast.
Yeah.
Because you need content, because you're dirt. Kick you when you're down. That's the job. Sorry, mate.
Or I actually have will I hold it for next
Hold
week?
it for next
Probably,
week, yeah.
I need to write it down. Wait,
You
wait,
write it
wait,
down.
wait,
Now,
wait,
now,
wait.
Never
So, would you rather only eat the one meal for the rest of your life or never be able to eat the same meal twice? So every day you're going to have a new meal.
Can I give me
Yeah,
take on that?
variety.
Yeah,
It's just-
write down what you want to say for next week so you don't forget. So, would you rather only ever eat the same thing every day for the rest of your life or every day it'll have to be a new meal?
My initial reaction is every day has to be a new meal.
Yeah, you can't have the same meal twice. So let's say you had pizza today, you're never having it for the rest of your life then after that.
Yeah, I think I'd go with that, but then they'd probably get shitter and shitter because you'd be running out of
There you go.
days for
Go on.
dishes.
I don't think there's enough food to do it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, how could you mix
Lads,
it up
there
that
is.
much?
Do you ever go on to bleeding the Fragging Rivers fucking menu and all? Do you know what I mean?
The
Yeah,
Fraggar's
yeah.
the only place in the world where you can live off for the rest of your life, boys.
Yeah.
It's like Forrest Gump.
9,000 choices.
Remember
Yeah.
Forrest Gump and he's like, shrimp soup, shrimp meat, shrimp barbecue, shrimp this, shrimp. And he's just, everything is shrimp. You know what I mean?
Can you do different flavours? Can you do chicken balls today, salt and chili chicken balls tomorrow, honey and
different
lemon
meal.
chicken balls the next day?
It's a different meal,
Is ya?
isn't it?
Well, then fuck that. You wouldn't want to eat the same thing over and over and over until you die,
Yeah,
would
but
you?
yeah, fed
But
up
you
with
can
chicken.
eat certain things over and over. Decco's breakfast rolls. I'd eat them every day for the rest of my life.
But that's all you can eat.
No problem. Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah, but like, that's it. Then it's what you having for your lunch time? It's breakfast roll.
No, he's just plugging Decco's breakfast rolls here.
Shout out to Decco's, yeah. No, but
Texting
them-
some little smoothie. Do you want to go get something to eat? Decco's breakfast roll. Put a candle between the two of you.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going with the one meal, bro.
Yeah.
Because I
And
don't
what would
think,
it be?
if you can do the flavours, if you can do different flavours, I'll go flavours. Can you?
No, it has to be one meal. I mean, for the rest of your life, if it has to be something different, then yeah, it can be
Then
different flavour.
then it can be flavours.
Yeah, like it can be curry noodles. Tomorrow it can be chicken noodles. It's still two different
And just
things.
reckon, so many days have we got left?
I reckon you have about 30,000.
And do you reckon there's 30,000 decent meals?
Hang
you
on
can
and do
have?
that
40,000
maths.
hours, 365 days a year.
Yeah,
Times
by 10
what? You say
is
about
3,000.
10
That's
years
40
left in
years.
your...
No,
10 left? 10
I
years?
have a good 10 months left in the head, Keisha.
365 by 10, yeah, so
Can't
it's 3,065, that's 10 years, and then that, what did I say, no,
You
30,000?
said 30,000, yeah.
So that by 10 is 100 then. I wouldn't be surprised that couldn't hit triple digits.
Oh, fuck.
I
He's
should have
gonna-
died years ago. The boys think I'm immortal, Joe.
So, do you know what, Joe, we say 10,000, that's 30 years. No, 20,000, 60 years, yeah. So 20,000 days.
20,000 days.
20,000
20,000
dishes.
different dishes
I'd say that's close to it, boys.
in the Fragrant Rivers
But
menu.
what if there's not? You run out and starve to death.
No, you won't. You start again. You start again.
Have you started again?
No, there
with
is. There's
fresh?
20,000. There's 20,000 dishes.
Is there, yeah?
Yeah.
What many countries was that? 180 odd?
194 countries.
Right. And then,
195.
In the world?
Yeah.
yeah, this was a question we had last
Do you
week.
know what? See, when you said last week 208,
Yeah.
and then I said, oh, it's 208 or 206, and you guys, when you picked that. Do you know what I think we were thinking? Bones in the human body,
Just 206.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Could've been.
fucking, that's what we were thinking.
But anyway, right, so I
Tangent.
would pick a different dish every day because what am I going to live on for the rest of my life? You know what I mean?
Nothing tickle your fancy for every day, no?
Every day now, bro.
Shout out there goes.
Variety.
Right. So that's the singer's box off.
Quick shout out.
Go
Shout
for it.
out. So, the big fella Johnny, who we were talking about last week, 6'7", skinhead, tattoos, ears
The
pierced.
meanest looking motherfucker you'll ever see in your life.
He has a podcast called The Bogey Man. It's a golf podcast, so if anyone's interested in that.
That's a good pun. You had to give it to
Yeah, I
him.
was
Yeah.
wondering. I thought it was going to be horror, but then you said golf, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I get it. I
Oh,
get
come
it.
out. I've seen him play golf. It is a horror.
So shout out to The Bogey Man. Check it out, yeah, and whatever, yeah.
Give
so
him a
enjoy
listen.
that.
So that's the fella who has to put up with us on a weekly basis. So we're there backing him up next time he goes in for a salary review. So just letting you all know, the higher ups sort Johnny out.
Look after him. And then speaking about horror, I heard you good at telling ghost stories, Joe.
Yeah.
Johnny, can you do clap your hands, you?
Right. So I knocked the lights off last week by clapping my hands, yeah?
Right.
And Terrence can't do it. So he's
Okay.
fascinated about how, look, it doesn't work for him, but it'll
Right.
work for me. See?
What the fuck? My head's wrecked. This is a bit of crack. Right.
Tell us a ghost story.
What do you mean tell you a ghost story?
I heard that you had a load of paranormal encounters in your life.
And I'm shitting.
And you went to the meeting.
No, can we?
You went to a medium there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that kind of unlocked a load of shit for you, and now you see things different.
She said I'm a little bit psychic.
Hey, yeah. Then how did you not know we were going to tell you that?
Maybe I did.
Oh, my shit. Jack on. Oh, shit.
So, have you ever seen a ghost?
I've never seen a ghost, but I've heard a ghost.
Right. I'm shitting.
Can we actually dim the lights for this, boys? For the story? Calvin Clapp.
I've said this. I mean, I've said this on. I've said this story on my podcast. But does that matter? Can I just say it again? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So, me and my brother Jason, we were playing. Jay was playing Sega Mega Drive World Cup 90 and 90, I think it was, and we live on the top balcony. This good, innit?
I'm laughing with
shitting.
me.
We live on the top balcony, so we're miles away from, we're way away from anyone, anywhere.
Like
you know what I
traffic
mean?
and people. Yeah.
You can't hear land. Like, you know, other kids have to be shouting and you'd hear them in the distance. So Jay was playing the Sega, and I was sitting on the bunk beds behind him, looking at him, playing World Cup 95. And then out of the back of the window behind us, we just heard a whisper. But it sounded like it was coming from outside the window, but it was a whisper of his name, just going, Jason. It was a whisper, but it sounded very close to us. And Jay paused the game, and he looked at me, and I looked at him. And he said, did you hear that? And I was like, yeah. And we were kind of like, it had to be just, I don't know, like a scrape, like, and it probably just sounded like Jason. So we went back to his game. We were both scared, and he went back to his game. And about 5 minutes later, we heard the same thing, only it was a little bit louder. And it didn't sound like it was coming from outside the window. It sounded like it was coming from inside the window this time. And I went, Jason, a little bit louder. Honestly, this is a fucking true story. Like, so we paused the game again, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and we were fucking shitting it. And as we were looking at each other, again, right on top of us, the sound just in the room just went, Jason. And we just got up and fucking legged it down the stairs. My mum and dad was downstairs, and we were shaking, man. There's no explanation anyone could give you. You can't explain that.
And was the window open?
No, sure. And even if it was open, see, everyone tries to fucking
Like debunk it? Break it down for you?
there was probably someone outside. We lived on the top balcony. We were upstairs in the top balcony of the top flat. It was a whisper. It was a woman's voice, and it was, by the end of it, it was on top of us. It was like somebody was this close to your ear, just going, Jason, in your fucking ear. And I was a young fella. If you were there on your own, you'd doubt yourself. But the fact that there was two of us there,
To back her up, like.
Jay was older than I was. Like, I would have been.
How old was
I would have been about 8 or 9, and Jay would have been about 14, 15. So old enough. Jay was old enough to like know, or if it was something or it wasn't something. But yeah, that's the scariest thing that ever happened to me. Not anything like that. Not well. I walked up into my bedroom in the flat. I think my flat was haunted. I walked up into my bedroom in the flat, and I opened the door, and the same thing happened to my brother John. And the Sega Mega Drive joystick. So the door was opening left. So the door didn't move the joystick. The joystick just went whoosh across the room. Moved. In front of me eyes. And I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck was that? There was no explanation for it. Like, the door was going that way, and it just slid, like, you know. And it wasn't fast like a slide. It just moved across the ground. So I couldn't explain that one away either.
Man, I'm shitting.
Yeah.
We knocked the lights back on.
Do you have any scary stories?
No,
gonna
because I
say.
don't believe in ghosts,
Have
bro.
you ever had that and then you'd be like, oh, what was that? I can't explain that.
Nothing.
No, neither. Boy, I can't think off the top of my head anyway.
You know, loads of stupid little things, don't when you're only at the... No, I can't talk about it.
Go on, say it. What?
Do you want me to talk and then you can come around to it?
No, it's a quick one.
I'm going to say
I'll,
is stupid as
I'll
well.
break it down real quick. So I was out in a heavy session, 3-day bender, and I come home. So say I went out on a Friday, it might have been the Sunday or the Monday, but I come home in the evening time, after being out for days, and I fell asleep and I was getting sleep paralysis, and I kept jumping up and I could see a figure
Yeah.
in the other side of the room, but that's just because I was sleeping.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just, I think I was just delirious.
My board just do that. She'd like we'd be asleep and like obviously she'd fall asleep before me and I'd be on my phone and she'd like sit up and I go what and then she'd be like who's that over there in the corner and I'd be like you shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cause like say if I heard a noise in the gaff, yeah, I want to run and I want to see somebody there. If I heard like a loud bang in the gaff and I open the door, there's nothing there. I shit myself.
That's scarier than
That's scarier than someone actually breaking into the gaff. Do you know a quick one? So do you know I'd be lying in bed? Do you ever hear like a cat fucking crying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people used to say that was the noise of the banshee.
Yeah.
So that's what I used to always associate that when I was growing up. And still to this day, when I hear that, I get a shiver.
Yeah.
27 years of age, lying in bed, heard a cat crying, I shiver.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
See, that's why a question a lot of people ask me, because I live on my own, so a lot of people say to me,
Yeah, shouldn't.
are you not afraid? I'm like, afraid of what? Like, because the only thing that's going to happen that's going to be scary or traumatic is going to be another person breaking in. So I don't believe in ghosts. Do you get me?
Yeah, but
But still, just being in a house on your own is fucking scary.
Only if you believe that
happened
there's
me
something
during the
scary going on.
lockdown, right?
Your brain can do tricks on it.
I was down in my board's ma's gaff, so it was me, her, and a ma. We're the only ones in the gaff. And she has a decent sized gaff down the country. So it's one of them, you know, when you look out the back window, it's pitch black, can't see
Yeah.
anything, and I'm fucking shitting her all that. So we're in bed, and it was during the night, and I heard like the biggest bang you ever heard, and I was like, what the fuck was that? And I thought a ma fell out of bed. That's how loud it was. It sounded like someone hitting the deck. And I was like, fuck that. So I got up and I got dressed. And as I went to go in and check on her, she was coming into our room. She's like, did you fall out of bed? And I was like, no. And then she was like, oh, did the chimney come down and all? That's how loud it was. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean the chimney?
The chimney come down.
Yeah,
It's a
so
Santa Claus.
Apparently this is a common thing down the country. But I was like, there could be someone in the gaff. Like, genuinely, because we're in the middle of nowhere, it could be someone in the gaff. So we like running downstairs expecting to see a fella there. Do you know like that? And I'm like the only fella in the gaff at the time, thinking,
You
right?
have to be Billy Big Bollox.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Around there.
So we went down, we checked the gaff, and there was no one there. And that's when I got a serious fright then. I was like, we heard a bang. Me board was asleep, she hadn't got a clue what was going on. I heard it, I heard it. And I'm like, I know exactly in the house where this came from. So I was lying in bed and I came to my left at the wall. I was like, that's where they came from. And on the other side of that wall is a ma's bedroom. That's why I thought you fell out of bed. And she was like, I know it came from that part as well. So we were checking around the gaff the whole night, couldn't find nothing. We just went to bed. And the next morning, our ma has like a closet kind of thing, a walk-in one, and the fucking mirror come off the wall. Just in the middle of the night, the whole mirror just came down off the wall.
And what was it hooked onto? Like, was that a possibility?
But it's there years.
Never come down.
And never come down, boom, thing come off the wall and hit the deck.
I have another one that I haven't. I was only talking to the missus
Is it
about
real
it.
scary?
It's not. To me, it was real scary, but I
Dim
don't
the
know the
lights.
story.
No, don't leave. Stop with the lights. I reckon the boy's heading there.
I was lying in bed in the middle of the night. Again, there was somebody else there, so I'm glad someone else can witness it
Yeah.
and validate it. Like, you know, in the middle of the night, about 4 o'clock in the morning, in a gaff down in East Wall, we were woke up by music. I thought it was my phone. I thought it was an alarm. Like, I set an alarm at a dodgy time. It was like classical music, old music, like really just like, you know, one of them wind-up boxes that has music, but it sounded really fucking loud, but also muted, like, because there's a chest at the end of the bed. And I thought, what? Where the fuck is my phone? And then I had my phone, so I was like, it's not my phone. What is that? Is that your phone, Maura? And I started giving out to Maura. I was like, will you knock that off? She's like, it's not me. It's not my phone. The two of us were hearing it. And I went down to the chest and I was rooting and I opened the chest and it got louder. So I was like coming out of the chest and I was rooting through the clothes in the chest, and then eventually the music just stopped. And I was like, what the fuck was that? There was not like there was nothing in the chest. There wasn't an alarm clock. There wasn't a
There's
radio.
nothing there to play the music.
There was nothing there to play the music.
Oh, shit.
On
Yeah.
it, and there was the two of us were there, and I was like, what the fuck was that? I wasn't scared when it was happening, but when the music stopped, I was like, that was, what the fuck? Why did it just stop as well? And oh man, me fucking mind, I couldn't sleep then. I was like, fuck
I came
this.
out, so you went to see a medium a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And your podcast, that was something that we discussed down.
Yeah.
But like we didn't know
Well,
how.
you robbed it.
Yeah, that as well. No, but like how we didn't know how to go about getting the medium. Like, what would you like? Just sit the medium there and be like, "All right, you pissed in the shower," you know, like that. And
Yeah.
and people have texted us saying get a medium on. It's something that we're open to, but we just don't know how to go about it. But what did you think of it? Did she like open your mind up? Because were you skeptical going in?
Yeah. I think mediums are charlatans, really. Like, I
Well,
don't
that's
know how
right. I didn't want to
anyone
be
could-
disrespectful. That's what I thought, and still think after
Yeah.
listening to your one. And I was like, when she was on about the dog farting and all,
Yeah,
ghost
yeah.
dog farts in the house and all, I'm like, oh, right, this is going to be a hard listen.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what do you think?
the ghost dog farting.
That's what she said.
I know.
I didn't make that up. Like, that's
I
not even
know.
a joke. Did you not listen to it?
No, I haven't listened to that.
That's what she said. She said, because she has dogs.
Yeah.
And-
And was there a smell of shit when she said it?
No, she
No,
said
no,
it
no, no.
happens. It happens.
Oh,
like,
right. So it
she-
didn't even happen.
She said she had a dog that died.
Right.
Sorry, that died, and he used to stay out in the hall, and he'd back at people coming in. And she's like, every now and again you get a waft coming in because he used to fart out there, and she'd be like, "Oh, that's just Benji or whatever. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, I think it might have been the pipes or
crazy.
something.
You know, it's a hard sell though, isn't it? Terrence?
Yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
creepy, that boy.
But the way she started the conversation and the way she started talking to us, I thought it was going to start off very hocus pocusy, like, you know what I mean? And we wanted it to be all hocus pocusy. We wanted her to talk about spirits and ghosts and stuff because it was a Halloween episode. But she actually delivered it in a very practical kind of way, like about your energy just being who you are as a person and stuff. And I'm like, this is great and all, very interesting. But I wanted the ghost stories. But that kind of changed my perspective on what I thought a medium was, like, you know what I mean? She's a spirit healer. And when you hear that, it's like, oh, she has fucking crystals and shit like that. But a spirit healer,
Don't
it's
be
just
looking at me like that.
do you have crystals?
He charges his crystals on the window ledge
Yeah.
every night, he does.
Yeah, that's why I'm very. You know what I mean? My
His
vibration is off.
vibrations up the wall. It's a long story, Joe.
Is this about the
Manifesting.
manifesting
Law
stuff?
of
Yeah.
attraction.
You're so negative about it.
Yeah.
You're so negative
Yeah.
about it.
Such a
It's
negative
shame, yeah.
wanker.
I'm
Well, how are
definitely
you
on-
about it?
I'm
I
on the
know
naughty list.
he's made his opinions very clear on
Actually, I
social
just want to
media.
go into this. So on the YouTube video, someone left a comment. And I just want to actually. Did you see the comment?
No.
No. I just want to read it out to you. Now I know you're gonna say something to this, but I just want to read out
Love
because
something
this
like
made
this
a little bit more sense to me because I'm still trying to figure it out. And certain people are saying things to me about what the law of attraction is. I'm like, oh, that actually makes a bit of sense. It's not so early furry.
Yeah.
But then someone made this comment. Apologies. One sec.
Just while he's finding that, if you look up like the law of attraction, as in the definition, like what is the law of attraction? It's that your thoughts dictate the actions the universe returns to you. So if you think positive, the universe will grant you positive outcomes. If you think negative, the universe gives you negative outcomes.
So here's
That's
the
what
comment.
it is in definition.
Yeah.
But when you say to people, do you believe in that? They say, yeah, I believe in it. And then you say, oh, this is what it means. You say, oh, I never knew that. I never knew
Yeah.
that's what it was.
But that's a very literal, like.
But that's
that
that's
doesn't
why
mean
I said
that doesn't mean believing in it is a bad thing because
No,
being in a
but-
positive mind space
Yeah.
leads
No, we
you to
said
do
it's
positive
just
things.
the actual
But
law
that,
of
but
attraction that,
that
goes
by
to the
definition,
Yeah.
I don't. That's not real, mate. That by definition is not real. Like you're not connected to the universe and like fucking Avatar. Plug that in there. You know what I mean?
How do you know?
Because
You are the universe.
it.
You are
Right.
you are literally stardust. You're the fucking accumulation
Yeah.
of billions and billions of
Of
years
atoms.
from a
Yeah,
point.
100%.
You are the universe.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's no.
there's carbon in our body from the dinosaurs. Yeah, but like if
Yeah.
you want to get into science with people, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" You know what I mean? It's a pseudoscience. in
Right, can I
itself.
read this comment?
Okay.
So he said, well, lads, from what I understand, the law of attraction is more so like this. Let's say you got a new car in the morning. It was a Renault Clio. Now that car is pictured in your head clear as day, and you've just got it and you really love it. Your brain is automatically going to see more of those cars on the road than ever because your brain is subliminally focused on it. I don't know if that's a good analogy. I might sound like a nutcase. It's basically like we're always on autopilot and don't see things until we think about them, if that makes sense. Therefore, thinking about something will attract your brain to notice more of that thing. It's all subliminal. That's the science part. But you're not going to think about being rich and shit, then magically become rich. Like, that's delusion.
Yeah.
And that made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, but that isn't the law of attraction.
That's opening your conscious mind, sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Like
what
if
I
I said to
gathered.
you, that camera is actually uneven. You probably never noticed it before, and you're like, "That is actually uneven bollocks," and that'll wreck your head. You know, things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, because I'm bringing attention.
So it's the
But
whole part where your brain sends something to the universe and the universe will give you that.
That's bollocks.
You think that the law of attraction is bullshit, yeah?
Yeah.
But do you think that believing in the law of attraction works?
Yes.
In the sense that if you put positive thoughts out to the universe, like that's all bollocks. But if you believe that that's true,
That's what's happening.
then you will not manifest it, but you'll make it happen.
No, I don't believe that either, because I know plenty of people who believe it and live their life that way, but they don't seem to portray any results of it. And that's not me. I don't want to be putting people down.
But do you think that it can happen for people? Not everybody.
Well, yeah, but that's...
You'll only hear about
Like it's
the
like
thing
that,
about
it's
it
like
is
that kick up the hole. Like.
you'll only
Yeah.
hear about the successful cases. You'll
I know,
only
but
hear
I know
about
a lot
Conor
of-
McGregor saying, "Oh, you believe it and you'll do it," or Barry Keoghan like, "Oh, put it out to the universe and it'll come true." Not for everybody, like.
But
not
that's
for
what I'm saying,
everyone.
I
Not
know a lot
everybody's
more
success
people-
is measured through fame and money. Some
Yeah.
people's success is measured through happiness.
I know, and I know a lot more people who have...
Yeah.
Who are actually in the exact same position when I first heard about them doing this to now. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, nothing in their life has actually changed.
So it doesn't work for everybody.
I don't think it actually is working. And this is what I was trying to, when I was getting into it with people, what I was trying to say is, look at what is working for you and why it's working for you, and don't be saying the law of attraction is what's changing your life. Well, hard work is changing your life.
Sometimes a lot of it is luck, though.
And that can happen as well.
Of course, but that's...
But what's luck?
But I just wanted people
What's
to be
luck?
like, do you know when the going gets tough, be like, do you know what, I actually got here. I done this myself. I pulled up my socks and I'm fucking at the putting the work in. But we don't want to get hung up on this because I was
You've been
wasted
down that
too
rabbit
much
hole.
bleeding. Yeah, wasted too much energy on this the last 2-3 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And do you know what's happened to me today? I put stuff up on Instagram and people are like attacking me, looking for arguments. I put some up today about the housing crisis, being sarcastic, and I even left a stupid face to let people know I was being sarcastic. And people are like, you're only looking for attention. I'm like, you're looking for an argument. You know what I mean? You're looking for me to bite back at you. So, because you upset one or two people, they're waiting for you to slip up.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Aren't I post are gonna jump on you like that? But Joe, we had you back in to finish off where we left off the last time. Yeah, just was one thing I want to call you out on. You said the film club idea, and you need to realise you can't say to Terence, you need to go watch The Godfather, It's a Wonderful Life, The Shawshank Redemption, and then he sticks around 10 minutes in, nothing's happening, and he's got to knock her off and be like, oh man, they're classics, you have to watch them. You have to ease him into it. So
Yeah.
that's why I recommended Law Abiding Citizen. And what?
It worked. It was little.
There
3
you go.
minutes, 27 seconds. Best film ever.
Is that
There you
because there's explosions in it? Like
There
straight
was
away?
mad
Like,
girl.
No,
happening.
there's not at the start, there's not an explosion. But
He built the door and stabbed his board.
spoiler alert. But anyways, yeah.
It's only the start. Don't be worried.
But that's what I said. And you gave us a bit of stick, like, why would you recommend that? So weird
Yeah.
one. You give us 5 films to recommend that you have to see before you die. Go.
just in general?
Go off the bat.
Bet I've seen 4 of them.
Joker.
Good film. It's a very
That's
good
it.
film, actually. Yeah. Go.
I'm just going to give you my picks,
Yeah,
yeah?
the John McGugan picks there. The IMBD fella.
Main Creek with Josh Peck. It's a really obscure one.
Saying
but,
it, Dirt, but go on.
Excellent.
That the one they throw him out about?
Yeah,
Yeah, Dirt.
spoiler. On that same vein, Stand By Me.
Great film.
Really good.
Oh, you have to see that.
Thank you.
Um,
I should be holding
going
the
back
phone
to
and
Walking
talking.
Phoenix, there's a lot of good Walking Phoenix films. Like any Whore with Walking Phoenix.
Couldn't think
It's
of a
great.
better name for the film, no? Oh,
Simple,
Him.
man. Keep it simple.
short and sweet, innit?
Him.
And I don't know, to throw a comedy in there, maybe Dumb and Dumber. Have you ever seen Dumb and Dumber?
No, Texas
You
vibes.
told me you said you seen it.
Texas vibes.
No, I didn't see Dumb and Dumber, remember?
No, did you not?
No.
Great film.
Yeah, creepy.
Texas
It's good, man. It's hard. Like, I don't know. If you like Law Abiding Citizen, I'd say fucking Training Day or something. See Training Day?
Prisoners is a good film. as
Training
well.
Day.
Prisoners is one of my
Denzel, isn't
favourite
it?
films of all time, yeah.
What?
Training Days, Denzel Washington.
Yeah, he won the Oscar for it.
I didn't see that. Didn't
Yeah.
see it though.
You'd love it.
I will watch
I'd
it.
say you'd like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I'd hate to fucking send you down that bleeding rabbit hole. Like, I don't know. I didn't say Goodfellas, Godfather, or any of the classic Scarface. You'd like all of them.
Yeah.
All gangster flicks.
What are you trying to say?
What are you trying to say, Joe?
Bit of a gangster, aren't you?
The big fella. But yeah, Joe.
Are you going to watch any of them?
No.
Come here. So, Joe, we kind of... It's hard to ease back into this because we left on such a, like, it was high tension the last time. It was like...
Was it?
Well, is high tension the right word?
Was
Like,
for me,
we were
anyways.
gripped. We were gripped and we had to kind of shut it off.
Yeah.
that's why we kind of want to ease back into it this time, because you don't want to just jump in and be like, tell us about that time in A&E.
Yeah, I'm like,
tell us about that time in A&E. No, so what happened the last time? So many episodes? Only like episode 42, 43.
Well, that's why we're doing a show soon after,
Yeah,
because it's
because-
relevant. There's
yeah.
no point doing this a year later. So tell us about a year ago.
Yeah,
when,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it has to be sorted now. And yeah, we were gripped. I don't know when you were saying, oh, we're gripped. We were gripped.
We were,
Probably
yeah.
not because you're just telling the story and it's
Yeah.
just what you know.
Yeah. So
But-
to you, it's just, you'd be like, oh, you want to hear that? Yeah, we want to hear that.
yeah, I like it's fucking
There's only a few
misery
episodes.
porn, isn't it?
Well, I'd recommend going back and listening. What was it, 43 or something, was it? 42, 43.
Yeah.
And just
Well, huge
picking up.
response of it, Joey.
Yeah,
Huge
really, yeah.
response.
Yeah.
Our messages were hopping.
A lot,
Hopping,
a
like,
lot.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
good.
For the right reasons. And we're being Movember now as well. Do you know what I mean? Trying to get men to open up and...
Is that
Right,
not
that's
about
it,
cancer or something? Bowel cancer, November?
it's-
It's all about mental
I
health.
think it's various things, but
Yeah.
mainly
Okay.
men's mental health.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Okay,
It's
yeah.
men's overall well-being. So...
So ask us a specific question to get into it, because it's a really like I don't. It's not like it's an anecdote that I
Yeah,
have that I just
yeah,
whip out
yeah.
or something like. So, but I'm open to
But what I can
talking about it.
remember-
Like, do you know what I mean?
that we didn't really get into full detail with. So you were in the hospital with your child, and then the guy come up to you and was like, the guy, Jesus
guy.
Christ,
This guy.
Fucking hell, you are Mike.
Stay off
I'm about to
YouTube,
go
will you?
pink, boy. Woo! Damn, baby,
The
I'm
guy
not,
fella.
maybe I'm not from the Flats Comedy Team. I'm like this whole time.
Parents is really from the south side.
Oh,
Boys, I'm about to go pink, to honest to God. Splendid.
you're glowing, man. You're glowing.
So, yeah, this
pink guy.
fella, right? Woo. Yeah, this fella come up there in the hospital and all and was like, oh, you're John McGucken that makes the funny videos and you're at the getting terrible news about your child. And then after that, so I'm just going to give you like the key parts I could remember towards the end of it.
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
can remember anything else as well. And then another part where you went into A&E yourself because you
You were
referred.
You were referred by a charity to go to A&E, and A&E
Yeah.
hadn't a clue what was going on. You were just like, I'm here for help.
Yeah.
There's a fucking bin.
It was but that I just thought that was mad. And so I think I already talked about that in the last podcast, but I probably just recap of that when I presented to accident and emergency, like with a mental health thing. There's people holding their arms, and there's a security guard over there listening. There's a woman that doesn't speak English, so she's leaning forward and asking me to speak louder, and I'm there like, I was gonna do something. And she's like, what? I was like, somebody told me to come here because I was gonna do something. And she's like, who told you to come here because you were gonna do what? Like, what's going on? I was like, I was gonna kill myself. Like, and I actually think I bumped into the security guard, and then because of this podcast, the security guard that was in the A&E actually reached out to me and says, "Oh, I remember you from
That's mad.
from being in there." Yeah.
Nuts. The
Yeah.
security guard up there started on me, but go on.
It's probably the same one.
Yeah.
So then I just found that so fucking interesting, if nothing else, because I was never through the process. I was like, I'm going to kill myself. And then she was like, all right, okay. Then she kind of got into it, and then she gave me a form to fill out with. Like, when you're going to kill yourself, the last thing you want to do is bleed and fill out a form. Like, you know what I mean? Bring me, I don't know. It's
Just
weird.
help me, really,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. You just, like, fucking help me. There should be a separate area
Yeah.
for all of that stuff.
A separate protocol, but that
100%, yeah.
But like that whole process of like, do you know what I mean? I'm vulnerable. I need help. I don't know what to do. I don't even know how to go about it. That's how a lot of people end up like turning to suicide because you don't know anywhere else to turn.
Yeah.
And you actually intervene and be like, right, I'm going to take this step to prevent this from happening. And then you grow up and they're like, well, we haven't got a clue what to do with you. So there should be like, I don't know, a safe space. Is that the right word you want to call it?
It is kind of like they're embarrassed when you're saying it to them. It's almost like, ooh, like you know what I mean. They're like, oh, okay,
This is a bad one.
I have to switch into a different mode here. Like, you know what I mean. It's like, and it's like they're trying to think, what am I supposed to do in this situation? Like they're trying to go back to their training. But even then, when I went in, I got past the accident and emergency that was in the outside area. I got into the reception, and then I had to go through the same process. And I wasn't just telling her like the details of what's wrong with me. She was the receptionist, and she was kind of like, what are you doing here? And like, what's your name? What's your PPS number? You know, when you get in, you have to go through all that. And you're saying very matter-of-factly, like, oh, I was going to kill myself. And again, you feel stupid for saying that, like, you know. And somebody must have heard me, because then I got a text message from somebody asking me, am I all right? Which is an example of like how like everyone's hearing everything that I'm saying. Like there's no privacy in it. It was actually Darren Conway who texted me saying, man, I hope everything's all right, because he went through his own shit in the January prior to that. And he texted me saying, are you all right? And I really appreciate it, because then I could have a kind of conversation with somebody about it, because I was just on my own before then. So it was great to have Darren to just kind of say, oh, well, this is what's going on. But the fact that somebody could hear what I was fucking saying to the receptionist and to, like, it shouldn't be like that. No. It shouldn't be like that at all. And then I went in, they had me in an observational room, and I calmed down a little bit, and I just wanted to get out then. I was waiting for about 4 hours, and somebody came in to take me bloods then, probably to see if I was on drugs. Or someone came in to take me blood, and I fucking hate needles. And I was about to kill myself, and I'm like, oh, I really don't want him to give me a needle. Like, And then eventually he put the needle in my arm, and I was like, oh, Jesus, do I have to? Like, that was a horrible experience as well, just having to get needles and being in that sort of mind frame and stuff like that. But then, I don't know. The missus then eventually came up the next morning, because she was wondering where I was, and she was texting me and stuff, and eventually I answered one of her calls because she was worried about me, obviously. And then she came up, and it's a weird one.
What's the process then after that, Joe? Like, you said they sent you to a counsellor. That didn't really help, though, did it?
It didn't help at all. So after that observational room, they brought me into a counsellor who probably clocked on at 9 a.m. So I was in there from 1 a.m. till 9 a.m. And then I went in to see a counsellor afterwards with the missus, because she came with me, and I didn't even want to talk to her. I was embarrassed that she even knew and understood what was going on. I was just like, I just want to be on my own. Like, so she was sitting beside me, and the counsellor was there asking me questions, and such broad questions, because he's just talking about what happened last night, but like the problems and the issues came from
before that,
from before that, like, and so much stuff before that, like, that you never think of until it builds up to a moment like that night. And then he said that he would refer me to my GP. So then I went home, and Moira, the missus, was worried sick, like, to leave me alone. She didn't want to leave me alone in case I hurt myself or whatever. And so she was stressed out, and she was worried. Even though I think at that point I was like, I'm okay now. Then the GP never called me. So then Moira was calling the GP like a week later saying, did the hospital not refer you? And then they went, no, we didn't get any referral letter. So then she was calling the hospital to get the referral letter, and they were like, we don't have any records of him even being on the system. And then she had to call the specific counsellor that we went to that morning, and then he said, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't register. And then he sent on me file to the GP, and then the GP, it was just a fucking disaster. Like, the whole process was just like a disaster. The GP then referred me to, it was during COVID, so then the GP referred me to a counsellor in Beaumont, but she called me and said that she wasn't taking any face-to-face appointments, but that I could do something over Zoom if I wanted. And I was just like, nah, it's grand. I felt like a burden. I was like, nah, it's grand. Don't worry about it. Like, you know what I mean? Don't worry about it. And she's like, are you sure? Like, you know, as if she's offering me a cup of tea. Like, you sure you don't want a cup of tea? I'm like, yeah, no, it's grand. Don't worry.
It's mad, isn't it? Because like that, I know the way people say, like, you were, as an example, saying you're in A&E and no one can visibly see what's wrong with you because you look grand.
Yeah.
And whereas some fella could be there holding his head. And he needs stitches. And that's how they're treating it as well. Be like, oh, well, we gave you stitches, so you just go home, you be grand. And they'd be like, well, we asked you, were you okay? And you said, oh, it's all right. So you're all right then. And you just go.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't be handling the two of them as the same issue. You know what I mean? They shouldn't be treated like they're not. You're comparing apples to oranges here.
Completely different injuries. Like, they are injuries. It's a sicknesses.
They're both through,
illnesses.
as in they're both health issues, but one's mental, one's physical, and you can't treat them both the same.
completely different. Yeah, like
And that's what they were trying to do. And like from the sounds of it, that's what it sounds like they were trying to treat it as. Oh, but they were over Zoom, but like, all right.
it kind of felt like they were just trying to pass the buck. Like, oh, can you have to go to the GP? And then the GP's like, oh, we'll send you to the one in Bournemouth. Then the one in Bournemouth was like, do the Zoom thing. I was like, no. And then she was like, oh, well, I can refer you to somebody in Mountjoy Square. I was like, all right, yeah, if you can get them to call me. And then they never called me. So then I called back the one in Bournemouth. And then they gave me the number for the one in Mountjoy Square. Then I called the one in Mountjoy Square and they said that they weren't taking any more clients. And I was like, oh, right, okay. So then I gave up then. I was just like, I'm just going to have to fucking deal with me shit. And so then time passed and Morla then called the GP again, back to square one. And they referred, I talked about this already on the last podcast, but then they referred me back to an in-house psychologist, so not a counsellor but a psychologist. And then I went to see that psychologist, sitting down, opening up to him, and he fell asleep in front of me. And I was like, this is just funny. It's gotten to a point now where it's just like so funny.
It's pathetic.
It's so pathetic, man. It's so bad. It's so bad.
One of the
so
most
bad.
shocking things I've heard since I started this podcast, and it mightn't sound that shocking.
Yeah.
If you try and put yourself in that situation where you're in that bad frame of mind, and you go to sit down and open up to someone and they fall asleep in front of you,
Yeah.
like we got a lot of messages about that, being like, how the fuck was that allowed to happen? Like that is absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
It is, and it kind of puts emphasis on like why these like private charities who offer counselling sessions and what are they called, like helplines and stuff like that, why they need funding, because they're actually doing more than what the fucking public sector shit is. You know what I mean? Oh,
I still don't know if that's there's charities out there, like there's people, after that last podcast there was people that reached out to me that didn't know that I went through that, like, and messaged me talking about different charities that I might find useful. And I just, yeah, like I think I'll reach out to one of them eventually, like, you know what I mean? It's just, you just get so fed up kind of trying to fix that shit, you know? And the thing is, there's people out there, this might be an Irish attitude, but there's people out there that are worse off than me, and you kind of feel like, I'll be all right. Like there's always someone worse off.
That's saying, if you all put our problems in a pile, you'd be running to get your own ones back.
Yeah. Well, we spoke about it on the podcast before, and it's a bad way to look at things. Do you know what I mean? Like in any point of view, like, because we were talking about before when we were talking about the relapse episode and all, and you're talking about like, well, like you can't say anything in the world about anything, and then someone goes, oh, but there's kids in Syria getting bombed and shit, but don't take away my problems. Because look, I know there's worse off things going on in the world, but my problems are my problems, and sometimes the problem can be so little to some people, but it still sends them over the edge, because in that moment they don't realise how little it is. And then they do something tragic, like whatever, and then everyone is like whoever knew about it or knew about the issue, they're like, it wasn't that bad. Like, if he had just sat down and spoke to someone about it, like, it's so, like, every issue was solvable. Like, you can fix anything. But when you're in that moment, you don't think straight. You know what I mean? And but then you'll always, like, and if you had to say that to someone, the last thing you want to hear is someone going, yeah, but there's people out there homeless, or there's people, like, we know that these issues are out there. Don't take away from my problems. Do you know what I mean? Like, although they are solvable, they are fixable, and if you do sit down and talk about it, but in someone's head, it's not the same.
Yeah, and that's someone looking for help. And when you saying like, they have it worse, that's like putting you down, saying you're a fucking idiot for feeling like this.
Exactly. And that's happened to me before. Like, where you talk someone in, you're getting somewhere with the conversation, and you start opening up and having the chat, and then they go, yeah, but you're grand because there's kids getting bombed over in Syria, and you're like, what the... Like, I know what you're saying, I get you, but it's a real, I know what you're saying when you say it's like an Irish attitude.
But even though that, even you're saying that to yourself. Like, I say that to myself because it's so bed into us. Like, it's so that attitude is so bed into us. Like, you know what I mean? Just be happy you're alive. Like, you know what I mean? Just be happy it exists.
That's probably an Irish hangover thing, that like we've never actually had it good as a people. If you think about it, like, there's constantly being depression,
oppression, like
oppression as well in this country. Like, we've never actually established ourselves and got up and running, and I think this is probably the closest we are to it now, in terms of like the Brits are gone, the church has lost its grip on the country, and now the government is fucking everybody over.
Yeah.
You know, like that. We're never actually flying.
But the
as a people.
Brits is gone. But like it's I don't want to get too political. But now like we're just part of the European Union and we don't have independence. Like we're just living under the laws of the European Union.
But this is
we don't create
we've never
our own
actually
laws.
been flying as a country.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
As a people, sorry. I don't think, you know, like that, and that's bred into us. And then, like, when you're growing up, it's like we always refer back to it, you know. It's like, don't give up your job. You don't want to rock the boat there. Just take what you're given and move on, and don't be different. Like but that's bred into nannies, mas, and it's just going to be bred into us naturally. So this is like you're inheriting all these traits, then, you know, like that. And I don't know. Hopefully, I think we are kind of moving towards it, but I don't think we're going to get there with the public sector. So I think you'd benefit more opening up to your mates than if you're like, you know what, I won't say anything to them and I'll go into A&E and see what they can do for me, and I'll try and hide this from everybody.
Well, if not the public, like I don't even know. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. Because I don't know. Sometimes your friends can give you bad advice, and I think the public sector is fucking shit show. Like, you know what I mean? It's just the only way is by being rich and being able to pay for fucking counselling. Like, you know what I mean? Or I feel like. And then even the counsellors, you might just get a shit one anyway. Like, it's just such a fucking disaster.
Well,
it's a disaster. It's hard to see it from any positive
Depends on
aspect.
opening up to your friends, right? But it's opening up to anybody. It's not really about the advice you can get, sort of just getting it off your chest.
Yeah.
And then when you say it and someone looks at you and goes, it's actually not that bad. You can solve by doing this and this. I know it's not. Not everybody gives great advice.
No.
But when you say something to someone you're close to, and you go, well, look, all you have to do is like, sort this, and then this will be solved. So
Yeah.
next week you're going to be brand new. And then when you look at it like that, you're like, it's actually not that deep.
And they might have to help you. You'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, I can do that with you. And you'll be like, oh, yeah, grand, you know.
Yeah.
100%.
But what I mean is...
But we come from large communities. There's people that don't have the huge surrounding of a community that we have.
That's true.
Especially coming from flats and stuff. Like, there's people that are isolated out in the middle of the country.
I get
and there's
that.
people that just come from smaller, less communal areas or environments, and
That's
they
why I think
don't
you need
have
to be
the...
cautious about who you like open up to. I don't mean just go out and say the first person you meet, yeah, this is how I feel. Like, say it to someone who you trust, and someone who, like, I know it's probably a cringy thing to say, but someone who you love, because we all do love our mates deep down. Let's be real, like, you know, like that. And say it to them, because if they love you back and they do care for you, they'll help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't be going like to someone who you're loose friends with and be like, this is how I actually feel, and they'd be like, all right, mate, well, someone has it worse, and then you move on and you'd be like, oh, that was a waste, you know?
Yeah, I know. I understand what you're saying. I think it's coming from a good place, but I think it's easier said than done.
No,
there's
definitely.
the fear of being seen as a burden as well,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
or being a moan bag, or like, you know what I mean. People think that, you know. For me, the reason why I have the friends that I have is because I'm the funny person, like, you know what I mean. I'm good crack to be around or whatever. Then if you come out bleeding moping and moaning, and so in your head you do these fucking cycles of like people don't want to hear this. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean?
completely understand what you're saying. Because, like, even if you are out with the boys and it's just a normal whatever, you're just hanging around, you're at the get feeling well, and you're not your usual self.
Yeah.
It's not, are you okay? It's, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah,
Will you
yeah,
bleed and get the buzz going,
Yeah.
you country? You're never this queer.
Yeah.
You know, like
Oh,
that.
you should have stayed at home or something.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and something like that can bleed and change a gammy. You're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
and you're not complaining. You're telling them what's wrong with you. But should they have shit going on themselves? Like, you know what I mean? Everyone has shit.
this
So
one-
it's not fair, I don't think, to. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate a little bit, because I think you should open up to people. But they have their own shit going on, and it's almost like it closes off the opportunity for them to kind of say, oh, well, I have my own problems as well, because it belittles either yours or theirs. Because if you say, I have problems, and they turn around and say, oh yeah, well, I have problems as well, and they think that theirs is smaller than yours, that's why I think you should go to a professional, like, you know what I mean? Also, I think just talking about it in general is a positive thing,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's a solution.
No, I don't, but it gets the wheels turning.
Yeah.
Someone might be able to say, well, actually, I actually went to counselling, people might not know about this, and they can refer you to someone themselves.
Yeah.
Or they might have a remedy that they do, and like, yeah, that can actually help you. This will make it better, you know what I mean? As opposed to being like, well, look, we're from these areas, actually, you don't have as much money as the rich people, and counselling isn't really an option for you. The A&E service is shit as well, so I don't know what to tell you because I'm not willing to help you either. You know, I'm not saying reach out to someone, but I'm going to kill myself and you have to help me.
Yeah,
It'd be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is how I feel. I've been feeling this way for this amount of time. I'm just having a conversation about it. That will spark something in people. You know what I mean? And I know where it comes from. Like, you don't want to put that burden on somebody else because people might get defensive and be like, well, I have a burden as well. But you never know. You could say to somebody, this is how I feel, and they'll say, do you know what? I actually feel that way as well.
Yeah.
A lot. And it gets a conversation going.
I think it's really important to have before. I don't think people should be going up and say, "Here, I'm going to kill myself." I do, but that's not what I'm saying. I think people should just talk about their feelings in general before they build up to the point where you are going to do something.
Don't let it get that far.
Yeah. Well, so that's what I think. That's what I think people should be, and men in particular, should be talking about. Like, you know what I mean?
I've
Like,
been in that
if you're sitting in a bit of a funk, if you're sitting in a mood, and the lads are like, "Oh, will you fucking come on out of it? Will you have a bit of crack?" Like, you know, instead of going, "Right, okay, put that back there," and just kind of get into it. Say, man, like, fucking, and just kind of say,
my head is wrecked.
Yeah.
'Cause there
it's
is.
okay. It's okay to not be okay, but it is okay to not be okay. Like, you know, it's okay to talk about that as well, which I think is cool.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying though, but look, I think, like, I know what you're saying and saying that, and it depends on what type of friends you have. Where I have got good friends in that sense, where my friends will be aware of things like that. So, like, even if I am like that, shit, lads, I'm just having a bad day, like, you know what I mean? They're like, "What's wrong with you? You all right?" Like, you know, and then you just naturally get into the flow of a
That's what I'm
conversation.
saying.
Yeah,
You should
yeah.
try and get better at, like, Taryn's usually good crack and now he's not.
Yeah.
Don't say, "You're a fucking idiot." Like, "Yeah, you're bleeding, bringing everyone down." Be like, wonder why he's not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's what
But
way we need to start
have
looking at it
friends
now.
like to have friends like that is a luxury and a privilege.
But
Like,
this is what I'm
I
saying.
think
If
that's
we
why
change
we're-
the attitude going forward, people might start looking at it that way. As being like, yeah, he's not good crack, but rather than call him out on it, be like, why is he not good crack? You know, like that.
That
He usually
we
is.
talk about it on the podcast frequently enough to let people, like, we're just two youngsters in tracksuits sitting
Yeah.
there, but
I haven't even got a pair
it's
of
all
jocks
right
on.
to sit down. It's all right to sit down and talk about it. And I think because we've a lot of teenagers as well listening, like, they look at us and they're like, them two lads are literally sitting there having a heart-to-heart at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon, not a drink or drug in their system.
Yeah.
That's normal.
We could change something going forward, you know?
yeah,
know what I
wouldn't it be
mean?
great? Wouldn't it be great, man?
Well, that's what let's hope, let's try.
yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Um,
If you have a platform, it's good to use it.
I just want to go back to, so you said you've seen a psychologist. Did he diagnose you with that?
PTSD. So I'd have post-traumatic stress disorder, and then they put me on antidepressants, sertraline, 50 milligrams, but it didn't really do anything for me. You know, like I just kind of want to describe the feeling that was in my head. And maybe somebody be able to relate to it, like, you know what I mean? But just kind of like a numb kind. Were you ever depressed before?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it just like, I don't know, like, is it just a numb kind of feeling, and like you're inside your own body and you're not in charge of your own?
It feels like you're just coasting. It doesn't feel like you're actually
yeah.
It's like when it's like going no hands on a push bike. You're just, I don't know what's happening now. I'm moving, but I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
That's how I describe it.
Yeah, and that'd be the same. Like, I'd say the only time I could actually say I was depressed would have been that time after the bend of that time, that relapse time or whatever, where, like, before, I know I wasn't depressed, and you read negative comments online, you're like, you wanker, yeah. Well, like, some comments online, it'd be like, that's not depression, that's a come down, and I know what they're saying, but, like, it's all the same thing, but I understand it, but I know from being in a bad frame of mind would be a come down off drinking drugs and whatever, so I know that, but the first time I was actually ever depressed would have been that time when I went back on the drink. After being off, definitely. So I was off the drink for so long, and then I just couldn't handle it anymore, and I went on a bend of bleeding out till the next day and whatever, and then after that I was like, because I'd loved so much the length of time I was off the drink, and I was like, I'm going so strong, like, everything is great, and I was loving it, and then after that I was like, boom, and then, like, I couldn't get out of bed, I couldn't think straight, like, nothing mattered. Do you get me? Like, and I'll never forget that feeling that time, because, like, I remember being in bed at 3 o'clock in the day. I actually went out to my auntie's house, and she was like, Terence, like, you're gonna have to go up at some stage. Like, I had to go out there because it was so far away, and I was away from everybody, and I was like, I'd rather be here, not near anyone, you know, so there's nobody fucking ringing saying I'm dropping down to you or whatever. So then being in bed at like 3 o'clock, she's like, you're gonna have to go up at some stage, like, you have to fucking have a shower, like, you have to go down and eat something. I just didn't want to get out of bed, like, it was horrible, and I'll never forget that. But that is the real only time that I know I was depressed heavily, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it was Oh,
When you said nothing mattered there, that resonated with me. I was like, yeah, not like when you're depressed, it's like, fuck everything. Like nothing matters. Like who gives a fuck about anything? Like you're just inside your own head. It's like sitting in a. For me, it was like sitting in a car. Only my car is the body, and I'm looking out my eyes. Like I'm inside my own head. It's just a weird kind of feeling, isn't it?
Like now the numbness you're talking about as well.
Yeah.
She's just like, I mean, yeah, it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mad.
horrible. And it's mad to
It's
think
mad.
that people suffer with that so frequently. You know, like that's what I thought about after. So after all that, I remember then talking to you days after, like Calvin, I don't get in contact. I was like, I just don't want to see nobody or talk to nobody. But then when I did, I became so grateful that because people actually diagnosed with depression and suffer with that as a frequent thing. And I just can't grasp the fact how, because like I spoke on the podcast openly before about like that was the first time ever where like committing suicide was a thought in my head. Like nearly a plan.
Yeah.
Where before you're like, I want my hair for, but there's no plan behind it. It's like, but that time was like,
That's being
don't,
suicidal.
yeah, I don't
That's
want
what
to
it is,
be here no
Yeah,
more, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And I remember but after, a couple of weeks after, when I started like being like, whoa, that was scary, like, you don't ever want to feel like that again. Then I started thinking, people go
Are in
through that
all the time.
all the time,
That's
man.
life
like
for
that,
people, yeah.
Like that's, oh.
It's heartbreaking when you think about it, because when you're in there, I was there, and it was weird because I knew I was going there. I could see, like you said, there's numbness, and you don't give a fuck about it, and you don't care. And I knew I was there, and I knew where I was going, and I was like, it's only gonna get worse, and I didn't care either. And then it did hit a boiling point, and I did break down, and then I was like, no, I'll get back on the horse. But like, it's not as if like today I'm like, oh, I had a breakdown today, and then like tomorrow it was the start of a brand new day, and everything was great. It was like a long road.
Yeah.
But when I look back on it, it helps because I know now going forward what the signs are, and not to let myself slip down that far. Do you know, like that?
That's pretty good.
Well, I think consciously I can't, like, and there's days I have bad days, and I say it, like, I'm just having a bad day, my head is wrecked. But addressing it, you know what I mean? And what's wrecking my head, and saying it to someone, and then hopefully you don't just get worse and let it chip away, because you don't know how far it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And like being suicidal, it's a delicate thing, you know what I mean? Like someone could do something and they don't mean to fully do it, and they're gone, you know, like that, and they'd be like,
yeah. They do it in the moment, and there's no coming back from it.
and that's it. There's
obviously,
no
like,
reverse.
you know?
Like there's no reverse, and it's such a like it's. I'm getting sweaty palms talking about. Like it's a
Yeah.
delicate situation to talk about, and like I don't even know, but genuinely I'm stuck by words here.
Yeah, it's brutal. No, it's brutal. It's brutal.
But kind of getting back into it. So I'm saying, yeah, I know I can address when I'm getting into one of them ruts. What gave you PTSD, Joe? If you don't mind me asking.
So when I went to a counsellor, I went to a counsellor once, but I couldn't afford to keep going to her. I only went to her once for one session, and that was one free session. And she was the one that diagnosed me with PTSD. But I didn't even know I had PTSD. Did I talk about this in the last ep?
You
mentioned-
scratch the surface.
Did I
of it.
scratch it? Yeah.
But yeah,
So she said that I had PTSD, and I was saying, I fucking have PTSD. Like, is that not something you get from a war or something?
Yeah.
You come. So it's an accumulation of a bunch of stuff, like, you know, that I never even acknowledged as being traumatic or unusual. Like, I would have just called them hard times or like bad luck or sickener. Hate that, like that happened to you, stinger. Like, do you know what I mean? But there was so much stuff that kind of happened over my childhood that I either thought was normal or wasn't worth addressing, and it kind of came to a boiling point after my son Oliver was he had a bad birth, and that put me into a bit of a spiral, really bad headspace, and it was off the back of that I went to see the counsellor, and she was the one that diagnosed me with PTSD. But like, I lost my brother, I lost my dad, my nanny died. Like, my nanny and my uncle died the same day, a week before my wedding. And I was saying that my brother died, and the last time I seen him, the big thing for me would have been my brother dying, and and a bad childhood. I don't even know, like, when my brother died, the last time I seen him was an awful interaction. So he was addicted. He was an alcoholic and he was addicted to drugs and stuff like that. So he used to rob stuff from the house and then go on a bender or something. Like, one day he robbed me bike from the balcony and sold it. And then he came back to the house that night and I was out and I came back to the house. I was pissed off because he robbed me bike. And I says, "What the fuck are you down here, you little scumbag?" And he was asleep on the sofa out of his head or drunk or whatever. And I dragged him up and said, "You fucking scum, you dirtbag, get the fuck out. You had the blade and rob me bike, you little cunt, you." And I dragged him and he was like, "Oh, Joe, no, please, please." And it was so... This is a really personal story for me, so I'm trying to draw a line on what I should be sharing and what I shouldn't be.
It's
And I don't know what the
line
line
is.
is.
If you don't want it, Joe.
But it just, he seemed so pathetic in that moment, like, you know what I mean? But he had done it he'd always done it. And I was like, "You little scumbag." I ended up pushing him, kicking him down the tower, like, you know what I mean? Until he was lashing rain as well. And he goes, "Oh, me clothes, all me clothes." He lived there with a black bag, and I ripped open his black bag and I threw all his clothes over the balcony down into on the wet ground and stuff, and he was pissed and he was picking them all up, like, and he was trying to carry them all, and they were all falling out of his hands and stuff like that. And that was the last time I seen him. And then he went into rehab. I still hadn't seen him. I hated him, like, you know, I hate his guts in that moment. Like, I don't now, and I don't think I ever did, but in that moment, like, I hated him. And he went into rehab, which he was always in and out of rehab, and then he was living in somebody else's house because he used to always come back to my ma's house, and I was saying, and he used to always, like I said, he used to always be robbing stuff and banging on the door. And I had said to me ma, "Don't keep fucking letting him in, like, you're just enabling him. Like, stop it, will you, for fuck's sake?" Like, so she decided to not bring him back. So we went to a house after rehab where one of the addicts that was in rehab as well. And they weren't rehabilitated, I suppose. And he had overdosed in the house and died. And so I feel like that was my fault. Still do. Still kind of feel like that. And I just wish I could say sorry or something, like, you know. So that's something that I haven't come to terms with or dealt with in myself. And then there's other shit, like, you know, there's stuff where, like, when my dad died as well, it was just a bleeding disaster. So yeah, that'd be one of the main reasons that I would have PTSD. Then when my dad died, he had a bunch of strokes, little tiny strokes. And then he was in and out of care homes. And then COVID hit. And we couldn't go to see him in a care home. We could only see him through the windows, like. I think I'd seen him once in about 8 months. And then he had one big bad stroke. No, in a year, the guts of a year, I'd say I seen him probably once and was through a window. And then he had a bad stroke and went to hospital from there. And like it was, they let us in to see him, like, you know, with the gown on, the mask on, the this, that, and the other. And that was kind of shy. And he was in hospital. Like, he was in intensive care, like, he was in a coma, he was in a vegetative state. And so that was really hard that we couldn't fucking see him. The whole time we were saying, "Oh, well, once COVID passes, like, we'll bring him out every weekend and we'll do lots of stuff with him and make the end of his life a little bit nicer." And then we didn't even get to see him. And, like, I got to see him the night. So after he was in there for about 3 months, and then they sent him back to the care home and put him on palliative care. And me and my ma went up to see him the night that he was passing. And it just seemed like such a fucking waste that the last 2 years of his life, we just seen him through a fucking window. And he was, when I went in to see him, on his deathbed in a room by himself, the nurses, again, put the gown on me, put a mask on me, put a visor on me, gloves and shoes, and I wasn't allowed to touch him. And I'm like, why? In case I kill him? For fuck's sake, he's dying tonight, like, you know what I mean? Why the fuck do I have to wear all of this shit? Like, it was just so fucking frustrating and really angry. And it was just like a big point for me where it was like for 2 years I couldn't be with him, and then like on his last day I couldn't even touch him or anything, like, you know what I mean? He was unconscious anyway, but I just hope it would have been nice to just kind of touch him.
The closure, like.
Yeah.
And so you had to lose two of your loved ones, and it sounds like the circumstance. Well, I suppose it's death is never really timely, isn't it? But you're lacking closure in both of them.
Yeah. And yeah, it was definitely untimely. Like, my dad was 61 and Jay was 29. It was so weird when I passed the age of 29. I'm 31 now. When Jay was 29, I think I was like 26. And he seemed like a grown-up to me. Yeah. It was so weird for me to finally become 29. And I'm like, shit, this is the age that he died at. Like, you know what I mean? This is so... there was something really weird about that for me. It was just... That was really weird, yeah. But, and the fact... Like, I love to believe... I'd love to have 100% believe in, like, God or the afterlife, because I'd love for him to not be mad at me, or for him to know that I'm not mad at him for that last time that I seen him or something like that. But you're never going to get that, and you just kind of have to live with that, you know? It's brutal. But yeah, that's why I have post-traumatic stress disorder. That and a few other things, like, you know. But they'd be big things now. That'd be an issue for me that I haven't dealt with.
It sounds like you're getting there, though, and I don't want to sound like fucking a pretentious prick, but like, this is helping. I think opening up a bit more about it.
I'm okay opening up with it, and I'm okay talking about it, but I still don't know how to cope with it. Like I'm choking up here because I'm getting upset about that moment, that fight that I had with Jay, and in my head I'm visualising it's burned into my brain, me throwing the clothes over the balcony onto the soaking wet ground, and I'm just riddled with guilt, and it's just a horrible feeling. Like.
Well, I only had a conversation today with somebody who lost a loved one over 10 years ago, and they were recapping that day, and they said to me, I actually can't talk about that. I don't like talking about this. And so you were saying, you still find it hard to cope with it. So this is somebody who's what? I think it's, I don't want to get like too specific, I think it's about 12 or 13 years, probably more. And they were talking about the day a loved one of theirs passed, and they still can't cope with it. So I don't think it's something that you just say, oh, yeah, sure, that many years has gone by now. Yeah, you're okay with that. Yeah. I don't think it's something you'll ever be able to cope. Like, put a label on it and say, yeah, done, we move on. You know, like that. You don't just box it away. So the fact you're choking up now, that's, I don't want to say normal thing, but like, it's understanding. Yeah, it's understanding.
It also goes back to the fact where I'm saying where there's always someone worse off than you. I always stop myself from letting myself be upset, because I'm like, well, it's hurting me, but like, it must fucking kill me ma. Yeah. Because it's her son, like, so there's always someone worse off. I'm not letting myself be upset by it, like, you know what I mean? But like, more recently, I am letting myself be upset by it, or allowing myself to feel guilty for it. Do you know what I mean? Does that make any sense, or am I talking bollocks? Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
He said it.
I just don't really know what to say. Like.
No, I don't know, Joe. I think it is going to help a lot of people, and I think it will help you as well. I don't know. It's just because we're not professional, but I think this is what I was hinting at. Like, if you say it to people, it helps, because you become familiar with addressing it. You know, like that.
Yeah, as you verbalise it, you start to understand it a little bit more.
And I think if you were to tell the story to someone now in 2 weeks' time, you might put different words on it, because you'll tell the story a bit, but then you become more familiar with what actually happened. And you know, and there was more. It wasn't just you. There was more to it. There was outside factors there. You know what I mean? It's not your fault, like.
Yeah, I know. That's one thing that I need to deal with is I put a lot of blame on myself for everything that's gone wrong in my life. I blame myself. Like I hate myself for it as well, which is why I'd get that feeling to do something stupid, is because I feel like if I wasn't here, then those things wouldn't have happened, or it'll stop something bad from happening in the future, because that's the mind frame that you can get into. I don't feel like that right now, this moment.
Yeah.
But when I'm in, I can.
Do you mean you've done something stupid by signing up to do this podcast
100%.
2 times?
What was I thinking?
Twice.
What was I thinking? For a bit of self-promotion? Come on. Yeah.
I don't know how to even...
Sorry, I haven't shed a lot either. Calvin's like, thanks, please. I can have it, like, please take the mic back. Not having a bad lump, me.
There's a story, I don't know how to get into this, but it's a happy ending story, and you kind of touched on it, and it's very personal, and I don't want to seem very brazen to get onto it, but your son, he has a very peculiar name.
Yeah.
Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, his name is Oliver Ice McGucken. Ice is his middle name because when he was born...
So this is what you've touched on, the complications?
Yeah, so there was complications at his birth, and that was a big... That was the hardest thing that I've ever had to be through. And it's hard... It's like, yeah, it was the hardest thing that I ever had to go through, because when he was born... there was complications at the birth, and when he was born, he wasn't alive or breathing. There was no brain activity, there was no heart activity or anything, and we didn't know this at the time. You know, when they put the baby on the chest and they try, like, bring the baby to life with the towel, try to wake the baby up, and that wasn't happening. So then your woman pressed a bell. That's when I started to realise, like, oh shit, something's going on here, like, you know. And then a lot of doctors came into the room to try revive Ollie, and that wasn't working. They brought him over to the heating station. They were doing stuff on him, and I was just in shock. I didn't know what to be doing. I could feel it in my hands. Like, I can still feel the emotion of that time. And they took Oliver away, and like straight away, so we got one glance at him, like, and I wish they never showed him, because like when they showed him, he was like lifeless and just kind of flopping backwards, and it was just a horrific sight. I'm like, oh my God, anybody that's gone through anything like that will probably relate to that and feel that horror. So he was gone, and me and Maura were stunned, shocked, horrified, terrified. We didn't know what happened, and we were left there for like an hour before we got any information about where he went or what happened. Dr. Afif from the Rotunda came in to explain what happened, that he was born with no brain activity because of lack of oxygen to the brain for whatever reason, and they brought him down to the neonatal intensive care unit, NICU, and he was having a bunch of seizures as they were trying to bring him to life. And to protect his brain, there's a new cooling treatment. I think it's only about 7 or 8 years old now. There's a cooling treatment that brings the body temperature way down, so that the brain can not do any more damage to itself. It was horrible. And then when he was in, that treatment lasts for 3 days. So when we went down to see him, he was blue because he was freezing. So it was horrible to see, and like we touched his feet, and it was so cold. It was like touching a dead body, and it was just freezing cold, and there was wires coming out of everywhere. And then towards the end, they'd done an MRI scan on his head, and they said that he has severe brain damage, and that, like, the best case scenario was that he survives and he has cerebral palsy. And we were prepared for that. Like, we were preparing for the worst, but we were just coursing. I was coursing everybody, because I felt like, again, this was my fault. This is only happening to Marta because of me. You know what I mean? I done this to her. he was in, after the cooling treatment, he stayed in ICU for another 2 weeks. Maura was pumping milk in a hotel. I don't know how much detail I should be going into. Like, Maura was pumping milk in the Geordie's hotel across the way and bringing milk over, and every 2 hours, and she was exhausted for 2 weeks. Like, she was doing that. She never slept. But then after the 2 weeks, they sent him to the Coombe to do a full CAT scan on his brain. And then, so what the cooling treatment is supposed to do is stop the brain from doing any more damage to itself. Somehow, the damage was reversed, and his brain was 100% fine. There was no damage on the CAT scans, which is, the doctors couldn't explain it. It was nothing short of a miracle, like, you know. And the funny, like, I don't want to bring this to a religious place, but my friend Rob gave me a relic from Oliver Plunkett, and we had named him Oliver, but we hadn't told anybody at this point. And he brought up a relic from Oliver Plunkett. It's a piece of his clothes from when he was killed. He's a saint, and there's so many coincidences. It's just crazy. He was canonized to become a saint. Oliver Plunkett, he's an Irish saint. You're supposed to do 3 miracles to become a saint. He only ever done 2, and he was canonized. So he never done the 3rd one, and we believe that this is his 3rd miracle now, because the treatment doesn't reverse the damage; it just stops it from getting worse, like, you know. So, and he's fine now. He's perfect now. He's a happy boy. He's running around and
Paw Patrol now.
Yeah, doing me head in.
His name's Oliver Ice.
Oliver Ice, yeah, because he was killed down.
It's unbelievable.
Did I tell that story good? Was that stupid?
No,
I've never kind of.
was.
It's not an anecdote, like, you know what I mean?
You know, I had heard briefly why he was called Ice, and I was like, that's a little story because it has a happy ending and all. But that additional stuff now, that's at the blow my mind.
Oh, really? Yeah.
See that part when you just come in there and you're like, oh, it's supposed to stop, but it reversed it.
Yeah.
Like,
I got a shiver down my back.
I'm
Goosebumps.
shitting. Like,
Really, yeah?
Shitting's not the right word, but I've goosebumps, yeah.
Yeah.
Like potatoes
Like
on my
an
back.
yeah.
They couldn't explain it. It was mad. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the best of times because to get that news, to go through that hard shit, and to get good news, like, there's no damage, like, there's nothing on the CAT scans. You're like, what the fuck?
There's no explanation.
There is no explanation, though.
But, and then, like, I don't know, what old is he now?
He's 3.
10 years' time, 12 years' time, someone's going to look at him like, your middle name is Ice. And there's that little story.
Yeah.
And what a story as well.
Yeah, it's class,
you know what I mean?
innit?
It's unbelievable.
It'd be a cool little party piece for them.
Cool little party piece, pun intended.
Yes, yeah.
See what
Ice
you
Ice
did there.
baby.
Oh, Joe. Jesus
Summarise
Christ.
that one, Carl.
Yeah, I can't, mate. I can't. You know what? Like, I would have liked to do this one, like, off the first one, because it's not nice to put you through it again. And
Yeah.
have you do all this, but you never know. In a few weeks' time, you might
Don't
listen
make
back
it
to
out
this.
like we threatened them. You have to do this again.
Can I go now?
Nah. We'll get you on in December for part 3. No, but like, I would have liked to do it all in one take, because it would have been nice to get it all out.
Now, not that we knew all of it, but we knew that there was more to it.
Yeah.
And we knew that there was definitely potential for a part 2. And then we knew, let's make it relevant. Let's not wait a year and go, actually, where were we the last time? So, but like, fuck me, man. You didn't get a whisper out of me all episode.
Well, I hope it was
Honestly,
good,
yeah,
man. I
it's
hope
very
it's not just
emotional, man.
miserable, like,
No,
you know what I
but
mean?
Very emotional.
Yeah.
Something popped into my mind. We have the questions to do from last week.
Fuck the questions, I'm sobbing.
Well, Joe gets to be Quizmaster General this week. So we started a trend last week. Myself and Terence are going to do about 5 weeks to see who scores the highest. So last week it was sport. I clicked it. 1-0 COB. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we get a question each, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I
So-
got mine. Oh, it was Brazil and France, Brazil and Germany. I said, good show. Got
Would
it
you?
wrong.
I think you would have got my question.
What was your one again?
The last 5
Yeah, I
World
would
Cup
have, yeah.
winners.
Yeah, I had them in my head when you were saying them.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying I got them quicker than you, I'm just
But,
saying.
yeah, no, you would have
as
got
we
it.
were
Yeah,
going,
you count it back.
I knew them, yeah.
Have you got it there?
No, what's going on?
I'll send on the questions. Will you? One job, me.
He's in there sobbing.
Would you?
Would you have got my one?
I would have gave your answers. I
Would
said
you? Brazil and
France.
Germany?
No, Brazil and France. You said Brazil and Germany were the right answer, so I would have
Oh,
gave
sorry.
France.
Yeah.
Are these only football questions?
No, last week it was.
Okay.
Last
right.
week was sport. This week is... Have you got it?
No.
Owen.
What's the story?
fallen
No
asleep.
signal. Johnny kick him.
Okay, he's typing.
Right.
Okay. Well, no, that's not. That's
Oh.
not. Okay, hang on.
Don't say he sent them hours ago and now you're looking in the wrong group chat.
Yeah, go on.
So what? Is there a name on them or you just got
For
go?
Terrence,
Oh shit.
Is that a blatant topic?
can we dim the lights?
You got a real no. Right.
No.
Right.
Right, Johnny.
Go with the fountain. And again.
For Terrence,
Yeah.
what is the smallest country in the world?
I know this. I do know this. Do you?
I don't know. I don't have to know it.
It's either
Ah, now come here.
Either, no. I
I never heard
the
of it.
Vatican. Am I right in saying that?
haven't got the answers. He just sent me a question.
It's the Vatican, which is actually classed as a country, or the Isle of Man. Am I right in saying that?
So which one are you picking then?
Gonna go with the Vatican.
Right.
I think you're right, but yes, you're right.
Yes! Good job, bro. You're proud of me. Get it.
I would have said the Vatican.
Would you? Yeah.
I would have said it, yeah.
I wouldn't have had it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I would have went for. Northern Ireland or something. It's really small, isn't it? Not smaller than the Vatican. That's just a gaff.
It's like the oil, like.
Right. For Calvin, what did Ceylon?
Hang on, is that a topic here? Is this geography? Yeah.
Am I saying that right? Ceylon? Ceylon? Ceylon?
Spell it.
C-E...
Hang on. Well, you're uptown yet, does it say
Okay.
on?
That's what it is. For Calvin, what did Ceylon change its name to in 1972? It's a country.
Spell it.
Ceylon.
That's a hard one. Bro, that is a hard one.
No,
in
it is.
1972.
But I'm not surprised by anything. That, like, I used to get surprised. So now what I say a lot is people know that Calvin is smart, right? But nobody actually knows how smart Calvin is. And I can't actually talk about it. But if Calvin wants to do a quiz against anyone in the world, I don't give a bollocks who you're and put me money on him.
Right.
Oh, yeah, on Calvin?
Yeah.
Come out.
I like it. I'll give you... Do you want a hint?
Please, because I was very hard. I deserve a
Well,
hint.
actually, how? Yeah, no, you don't deserve a hint.
Ah, bro.
Are you looking for a hint?
Yeah.
It can't be. If it's a hint, then I guess you.
Get half a point. Half a point with a hint.
No, it's a hint. Come on.
It's a big country and they're good at cricket.
I know it. I know it.
That's a fucking easy hint. You have to give her away there now.
No. Is it Bangladesh?
Final answer.
Final answer. Lock
think-
around. I don't give a bollocks. I'm 1-0 up anyways. I can afford to take an L this week.
I think Bangladesh is a city in India, isn't it?
No,
Bangladesh is a
Bangladesh
country.
yeah.
Well, it's Sri Lanka.
Ah, right.
Sri Lanka is the answer.
I was gonna guess Sri Lanka.
You're sure?
I was gonna guess Sri
You want to
Lanka.
get that flip flop out anyways. And we used to sing Sri Lanka. Right.
Right, well that's the quiz. You have a 1-1
it?
in the quiz.
A question each.
Well,
Yeah,
we do one
we have to
question
drag it
each
out,
for the
man. You
next
need
few
content, you know what I mean? You and that should do it. Right, well, we dropped the bomb. Owen, can we announce what we were talking about the other day?
That's what I didn't drop when I said that.
Yeah. Right, so
Right.
we forgot about that.
What? I want to know. Drop that. Drop that.
Tell you
Drop
after
it.
this. Tell you
Oh,
after
can
this.
we, yeah?
Okay.
Right, so we'll wrap her up. And anyways, Joe, thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Twice. We had a great time with you doing the crossover episode as well. A lot of people are messaging us. What's the story with everyone stuttering and on this podcast?
Oh no, that's because that
Tripping up.
cunt is at the making us all emotional. I'm all up my feelings. I'm all sad. I don't know what's going on.
It's going to be a serious hugging session after this.
Oh, stop.
the crossover episode we done a couple of weeks ago, a lot of people are saying they'd pay serious money for the uncensored version.
Don't blame
How
me.
much is the uncensored version worth? Now, just imagine it's probably worth. You have to imagine the price of the podcast because we'd be cancelled after.
Yeah,
So
we can't.
how
Yeah,
much-
yeah,
Company
that's it,
would be
that's
shut
it.
down, liquidation.
You'd never get a job again.
Put a
You'd never
price on
work
the
again.
job. Put a price on it.
150 grand.
Is that all?
Grand!
Yeah.
But then you're going to say million and I'm still going to say,
It's probably being a bit literal, too literal.
Right,
Yeah.
listen, Joe, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. It was a pleasure as always.
Thank you.
And will we wrap this one up because I don't even know what to say anymore.
Yeah, I love you,
am
boys. I
emotional.
love you, boys. I love everyone
Let's go,
listening. I
let's go.
love all the boys. Legends.
Right.
Remember the first episode? You just wanted to slag me for stalling.
Yeah,
No,
now
I feel like we've come a long way.
Yeah,
lads.
He's
have.
still
Come a long way.
dirt. Like, he's still dirt. And he's like, he's want to grow up and all, but like...
I have a lot of time for you. I love you at the bits
Yeah, I
after
do,
that.
but fuck it. Yeah, take us
Subscribe
out,
to
Johnny.
this podcast for free on the Go Loud app.
What you waiting for? Put your back in it. Just a little more. Throw your weight in it now. Tell your body okay. Walk it hard and long. When you finish that
The hip knocker.
song, go down.